Hi, I'm April Rozzo, one of the registered dietitians with Florida Cancer Specialists and Research Institute, and thank you for joining me for our virtual wellness teaching kitchen and our special fall edition. So today we are making jack-o'-lantern stuffed bell peppers, which are super cute for any fall parties, Halloween parties. They make a great meal or even a great appetizer. So if you get invited to a fall potluck dinner, this is a fantastic option. So the first thing we want to do to get started is cut our jack-o'-lantern faces into the bell peppers. So you want four, now this is for 4 servings. You want 4, as large as you can get them, orange bell peppers. If obviously you can double this recipe, you can make 8. You can shrink the recipe if you're just cooking at home for 2 of you and just make 2. But we're gonna take this bell pepper and we're gonna cut the top off just like you would a pumpkin if you were carving a pumpkin. So I've got a paring knife here and I'm just gonna go all the way around the edge, okay? It does not have to be perfect. We just want to make that opening big enough that you're going to be able to spoon stuffing into it afterwards. So if a lot of membrane comes off the top, you want to go ahead, if there are seeds, you can go ahead and take those off, okay? And just discard those. And then inside all the seeds and membrane, try to scoop as much of that out as you can. We want that space nice and open to put more of our stuffing inside. Okay, so I'm just going to loosen that membrane up. Most of the time it pops right out, super easy. And then you can just discard that. If you have a lot of seeds in your pepper, you want to go ahead and just discard that too, okay? So nice and clean and empty is our pepper. And then I'm going to take that paring knife again. So look around, right? I think I'm going to pick this side. You want a nice big flat surface where we can make our little jack-o'-lantern face. And I'm going to do triangles because they're easy. You could try circles if you're feeling adventurous. I'm not that coordinated, so I'm just going to stick with triangles. And I'm just going to make little cuts here to get that cute face. And the piece of pepper just pops right out once you've cut it, okay? It does not have to be exact. They don't have to match. That's kind of the beauty of a jack-o'-lantern, right? Probably the more it doesn't match, the cuter it is. We're going to do a little triangle nose here. Okay. Take that out. And then, this is probably the hardest part of the whole recipe, you guys, is making the mouth, right? So I'm just going to come across. You can give him a little snaggle tooth there. And come the rest of the way across his face, down, and then come all the way back around and poke that other side. And again, it just lifts right out, right? And now we've got a cute little jack-o'-lantern face. So you're gonna do that with all of your peppers, okay? You wanna put them in a baking dish, relatively shallow baking dish. And the tops, they're going to stay in the dish, but you can just kind of move them around to get them out of the way. We're going to put the peppers cut side down, actually, in this baking dish. So you want to flip all the peppers around, okay? And I'm just going to rearrange these lids so that everything fits in here. Put him upside down. Stick him in there, okay? And it's okay, so just squeeze everything in there. There we go, okay? This is how we're gonna nuke these in the microwave. Put just a 1/4 cup of water in the pan. That's gonna help kind of steam these peppers in the microwave. And this is gonna decrease the cooking time in the oven. If you don't do the microwave step, they end up cooking in the oven for close to an hour. So this is a way for us to really shorten how long it takes for these to cook. So into the microwave on high for about 6 minutes, okay? Now while that's going, we're gonna start our stuffing. We're gonna get our stuffing going. So we need a small to medium onion, okay? And we just want to dice that onion up. Now, this recipe is great. If you guys have been with me in my teaching kitchens before, you know how much I like a versatile recipe that I can change up. You know how much I like to try to keep things healthy and add vegetables as much as I can. So typically, you might find that stuffed pepper recipes don't have a lot of vegetables in them. A lot of stuffed pepper recipes are just mostly rice and meat, right? That go into the pepper or that go into the squash. And I really wanted more vegetables in my stuffed pepper recipe. So here, I took the turkey, I left the turkey as is, so a pound of turkey, but I decreased the amount of rice that goes in this recipe. So instead of 1.5 cups or 2 cups of rice, we're only doing 1 cup. And that really helps to cut back on the amount of calories, the amount of carbs, and it allows me to add some vegetables into this recipe. So for the fall, because you're never quite sure what kind of fresh vegetables are available in the fall, we're using spinach because you can always get spinach. It wilts into the tomato sauce and turkey really easily. But you could use tomatoes, you could use onions, you could use zucchini. You just chop them up, saute them in the skillet, just like we're going to with the spinach and the turkey, okay? So I love that you could leave the rice out completely if you want to and just do vegetables. You can change out the vegetables. I really just love how lean and healthy we can make this recipe. We can cater it to fall, we can cater it to summer. You can make this recipe over and over with different ingredients so that it's always something new for you. Okay, so we've got our onion chopped up. I've got a skillet on medium-high heat. I also have the oven preheated to 400 degrees because once we stuff the peppers, it's all gonna go in the oven to melt together, okay? So my skillet here is at medium-high heat. I need a tablespoon of olive oil. So just a quick splash in there. And then I'm gonna throw my onions in, okay? And we're gonna cook these onions. Ah, you can hear it sizzle, I like it. That's how you know your pan's nice and hot. We're gonna cook these onions until they're starting to soften and get a little translucent. So that's gonna take about 3 minutes, okay? There we go. Now, here's a little tidbit for you guys. Whenever I read recipes that start with onions and garlic in a saute pan, and so many recipes start with onions and garlic as a foundation, right? The recipes always say to add your garlic with your onions. Like put your onions and garlic in a pan and saute until the onions are soft and translucent, about 3 minutes. And I have just found, especially with minced garlic that is so tiny, if you put your garlic in at the very beginning with the onions on that medium-high heat, your garlic is gonna burn. It's gonna be overcooked, it's gonna burn. So I always ignore that part in the recipes. I put my onions in first by themselves, and I just let them cook for a few minutes, and then I put my garlic in, my turkey in, whatever else I'm cooking, because the garlic is gonna have plenty of time in that skillet to cook. And nobody likes burnt, bitter garlic, right? So just a little tidbit for you. Hold that garlic until your onions are kind of already cooking, okay? Now, once the onions are softened and translucent, we're gonna add that garlic. We're also gonna add, I've got about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. We're gonna add that. and we're gonna add our turkey. So with any meat, ground turkey, ground beef, whatever you're looking at, and ground beef, I don't cook that often. We don't recommend that you eat red meat that often. But either way, when you're looking at ground meat, ideally you want to look for lean ground meat. So they've got those percentages on them. This one is 85% lean, 15% fat, okay? Depending on what you're using it for. If you're making burgers, you need a little bit of fat. So this 85% is a great option because it's mostly lean, but it has that little bit of fat to help with moisture so that your burgers aren't super dry. If you're doing a soup or a stew where there's a lot of moisture in it already to compensate for no fat, then you can go super lean on your meat. You could actually go 90% lean or 95% lean, and it still tastes great. All right, so our onions are starting to soften. Yep, they're starting to get a little translucent. You can see there. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the garlic. 1 to 2 cloves, depending, you know, some cloves of garlic are huge, some are tiny. So 1 to 2 cloves of garlic. I've never met a dish with too much garlic in it. So I tend to go for 2 cloves. Little piece of wrapper came with it. So once you've got your meat in there, you just want to use a wooden spoon here and start breaking it up, okay? Because we want it crumbled so that that whole stuffing mixture is a little bit of everything. We want turkey in every bite. So we want to just start breaking this up. I'm going to go ahead and add my salt and pepper in here. And just start mixing it around and breaking that turkey up so that it's nice and crumbled. You will find if you cook with red meat and ground turkey, the red meat does tend to crumble a little bit easier than ground turkey, but the turkey will. You just have to kind of keep working at it. The turkey will crumble really nicely. Okay. Now we're going to cook this until the turkey is just about done. It doesn't have to be completely done. So done means there's no more pink, right? We want it pretty close to that. But we're gonna add the spinach, okay? So the turkey is gonna keep cooking after we add the spinach and start cooking the spinach. And we don't want the turkey to dry out as the spinach is cooking. So there's still a little bit of pink in there, right? But I'm gonna go ahead and get this spinach in. And I'm adding 1 full bag. So when you get a bag of spinach at the grocery store, they're about 6 ounces worth of spinach in that small bag. And that's how much I'm putting in here. It looks like a lot up front. It's not, okay? It really cooks down. So as this spinach starts wilting and cooking, it's really gonna shrink. I promise. So we just want to start stirring it in, getting it mixed in with the turkey and the onions. This whole process, so the onions themselves are about 3 minutes. And then once you add the turkey and garlic and then the spinach, that whole process, about 5 to 6 minutes or so to cook the turkey and then add the spinach and get the spinach cooked, okay? And you can keep breaking up the turkey as you go, as you're stirring everything around. And you guys probably heard my microwave beep. The peppers are done. That's 6 minutes in the microwave. They're all done. And they can just hang out in the microwave for now. We'll grab that dish out whenever it's time to fill them. So you can see how the spinach is really starting to wilt and shrink down. Okay. I really like this recipe. I like stuffed squash, stuffed peppers, because essentially it is a completely balanced meal in a cute little package, right? So that pepper serves as one of your vegetables. And then inside that pepper, we've got a protein, the turkey. We've got a complex carbohydrate, that good for you starch, okay, the brown rice. Or in this case, I'm actually not using brown rice. I'm using another grain called farro, because that's what I have in my pantry. But great source of protein, great source of fiber. And then we have even more veg mixed in, okay? So you can see the spinach has completely wilted. I'm gonna turn this heat off, okay? And to this mixture, I'm gonna add my grain. So whatever you're using, quinoa, couscous, farro, brown rice, a cup cooked, okay? We're just gonna toss that in. We are also gonna add a teaspoon. I have dried Italian seasoning mix, so just a teaspoon, okay? I would add more than a teaspoon if I was using plain canned tomatoes, because there's no seasoning in that. But what I'm using is a cup of jarred marinara sauce, like that you would buy for pasta. So it already has seasoning in it. It's already got some Italian herbs. It's already got some garlic. So I don't want to add too much on my own because there's already some in this sauce. But if you're just using plain canned tomato, then I would definitely at least double up on the Italian seasoning mix to give it some more flavor, okay? Otherwise it'll be really plain, and we don't want that. So we're adding that in, okay? And then I've got a cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. We're not using all of it directly in the mixture. Put maybe half of it in, and then we're gonna reserve some to sprinkle on top, okay? Before it goes in the oven. So just give all of that a good stir. Get it all mixed together, okay? So we've got your turkey and onion and garlic, spinach, the sauce. The mozzarella cheese is starting to melt. It smells like my Italian heaven, you guys. I'm just saying. Okay. All right. So once you've got that all mixed and incorporated, we're gonna grab those peppers out of the microwave. Clear a space here. Switch this board out. Please be careful, right? Obviously the dish is going to be hot. Don't grab it without oven mitts, okay? But we want to pull that out. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the peppers out of the dish just for a second because I want to dump the water out, right? Remember we put that 1/4 cup of water in the dish? It's actually not that hot now that it's been sitting in the microwave for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and just take these out. Okay. And that way I can just dump the water before we put them. We're going to bake them in this dish. Woo, lost a pepper. All right. Oh, it's a good thing my floor is clean, you guys. That's all I'm saying. I am going to rinse it off really quick. Okay. Put that there. Go ahead and take the lids off too. We want to set those aside. We're not actually going to bake the lids, the tops. They're going to stay out of the oven. So we want to just go ahead and pull those out. Okay. So now I can go ahead and just dump some seeds, some water. I'm just going to dump that out. All right. And now we can go ahead and start filling these peppers, okay? So I'm just gonna take the mixture and start spooning it in here. Okay. If they don't stand up completely on their own, if your peppers are a little bit wobbly, you certainly can kind of shave just a tiny bit off the bottom to make them flat. Don't cut too much. You don't want to create a hole at the bottom. where stuff is gonna leak out. Okay, this pepper does have a hole in the bottom on its own, but it's okay. The rest are fine. So we're just gonna get all of our stuffing mixture in here. You should have plenty of stuffing for all 4 peppers. I'm gonna go back, once I have all 4 of them full, I'm gonna take whatever stuffing I have left and just top everything off, okay? I'm just gonna make sure that they're all really nice and full. As long as your peppers are nice and big, you probably will not have a ton left over. All right. And if you do have some left over, it'll be delicious by itself, right? You could make a meal out of that. But yeah, you can see here, by the time I'm done topping everything off, I really won't have much. Okay. Totally great for it to overflow a little bit. Okay. Put a little bit more into each one. This worked out perfectly. Okay. All right. So now everything is in the peppers. I'm gonna take this dish and pop it in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. Oh, we have to top it with the mozzarella cheese. Don't let me forget the cheese, you guys. So remember the rest of that mozzarella that we reserved? We're just gonna sprinkle some on top here, okay? And that way the cheese is gonna melt and kind of start to brown on the top and get nice and gooey when you dig into it when it's finished. Okay, so let's go ahead and just top that. Use up the rest here. There we go. Okay, now they're going in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. Slide that in, and again, your oven should already be preheated to about 400. And now we wait.